All right. Seems like you've done some great work. Let's debrief this just a tad. So, so, uh, so other than having a template of some sort, right? What did y'all find challenging about this? What did y'all find challenging? Yeah, so this could balloon really fast, right? Where you could have multiple steps. You could do a little more vague. You could do it, but then the more vague you get, the less detail you have, and so you might miss something, right? So trying to find that balance between detail versus making it completely useless, right? What else? What else you'll find challenging about this?
So some of this stuff we don't know to be the right way it's done.
Why don't you know it?
It's not our, we're not there yet.
It's a fictional hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we're
So
not,
so other than that though, do you think if this were a real hospital and you'd worked there, let's say you worked there 3 years, do you think you'd know all the steps? No. Y'all get the point a little bit? I mean, that's not the only point of this. I wanted to show you all the tool and let you practice using the tool, but it's kind of obvious you need some other people here, right? You need people that understand. I mean, especially if you pick. How many of y'all picked pain assessment? Group wise. I know we got one back here. There were two, I think. How many nurses we got in the room? If you're a nurse, will you raise your hand? Or you have been a nurse in the past? I thought we had one or two at least. Wrong class? Am I getting them mixed up? My bad. Sorry, all you students look the same. So, so no, it's one of those things. It's, whenever you have, if you had a nurse in your group, it's one of those things that just makes it real easy, and you're able to, you can rely on that person. So obviously having diversity in your team really helps, having a diversity of experience, because even though you're all healthcare and theoretically you know it all, you don't really. Does anybody have this problem? So how many of y'all's process maps look like this? Where it's just box, 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 box. Lots of them, right? Okay, that means your process map is not realistic enough. Okay? How many of y'all ended up like this? Anybody end up cattywampus? So if you ended up like this, just all these little loopholes, and how the heck do I get here, and how do I get over here, and how do I move from this spot to this spot, and it just gets kind of crazy. So realistically, your process map usually looks like, if after you've mapped a few times, it looks like that, how you think it is, right? How it actually is going to look like. So we're going to stop there. I would like to kind of highlight just one or two things. So whenever we look at, let's highlight analyze real quick. We won't actually go through the Ishikawa today. We'll come back to the Ishikawa diagram. So that's whenever you hear the term root cause analysis. So we talk about analyzing systems. So the big thing you want to know now is you've kind of mapped a process. You've kind of said, here's what something looks like. And so now you want to say, okay, so what is it that contributed to the event? What caused the event, right? One of the more useful things is to go back to that process map and look at where are the things that went haywire, where are the things that could have gone haywire, right? The other thing you can do, it's a very simple term that we'll use, and just because it's algebra, everybody gets it, right? Is this concept of y as a function of x. So the idea being is that there's an outcome, which is y. There's all these things that go into that problem. So it really should be like x1, x2, x3, x4. But just for simplicity's sake, there's all these x's that go into the problem. Do I have it on the next slide? I do. There's all these problems that go into it. There's a very simple root cause analysis, and we call it 5 whys. And you can go through 5 whys, and you can sit there and you can say, okay, so why did X happen? And then you give an answer. Okay, well, why did that happen? Well, why did that happen? You can also call it the 2-year-old approach. And so, but the idea is by 5 whys, usually you have kind of a little bit of a rudimentary root cause by about the 3rd or 4th why. And we'll use this as an example when we come back tomorrow. You get to 5 and it should be silly by that point, you know. And we'll give some examples on that. Ishikawa diagram or a fishbone diagram is this. So you have a result, this thing over here. And then you have all these different categories and things that feed into it. And then you have more details on those line texts. So we'll roll through that. So yeah, so we'll actually stop there. I think that's a good spot. We're kind of right at time. Before we leave, I'd like to hear what things did you learn today that you think you might use again? How to make a flowchart on a Google Doc. I like it. What else did y'all learn today? Was it? SciPoc. You think you'll use that again? Yeah, okay, yeah. It's a pretty useful tool. It's helpful. I find myself doing it more and more informally these days. I don't sit there and pull up the grid and do all the stuff. But yeah, I can use for that. What else? One more thing. One more good take home from today. How to pick your team. That's a good one. I like that. We'll conclude on that one. I'll hang out for a couple of minutes. If y'all got any questions, the rest of you, I'll see y'all tomorrow morning.